Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Eliezer Melamed Shlita. Here we are, Sof Shavua Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parashas Emor. Today is also Pesach Sheni for those who observe. Many have a custom of eating matzah today, so we didn't say Tachnun this morning for that reason, but certainly it's worth noting. We ask you to please continue davening for Chalei Tzvah Yisrael, for Shalom L'Chol P'tzui Yisrael, safety of our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael. We learn each day Aleinu Nishmat and Daniel Shimon and Rav Doron V'Shai Shem Kadamo. A bit of a programming or podcast announcement. Two things. First of all, Baruch Hashem, next week, a wonderful sponsor for our learning next week, which you'll hear about B'li Neder each day next week. And also, I was contacted by our friends at the Machon Har Bracha, and if you are enjoying this podcast and the ability to learn Peninei Halacha, so as you know, many of the volumes are translated in English, and there are a few more that are ready to go, and they're just actually looking for sponsorships to be able to bring those to light, to think about having a hand in bringing the teachings of Reb Melamed in print to those who don't understand the Hebrew fluently and have it beautifully translated in English. If you want a part of it, please reach out to me, and I will put you in contact with the Machon. All different types of sponsorship levels available. What a wonderful mitzvah way to honor someone, commemorate someone's life. Think about the zechus that you'll have of so many people learning Torah as a result of your being a benefactor of this wonderful project. So if you're interested, please let me know, and I'll be happy to put you in touch. So the nenext chapter, Omrim Od Kaddish Ach Aleinu L'Shabech. Achar Aleinu L'Shabech Ein Tzorich Lomer Od Kaddish Yehi Shlomo Mnei Shekvar Amru Pam Achas Achar Shir Shel Yom. So we have to understand that the way it's formulated here, let's say basically davening Nusach Sfard, even Ashkenaz and Israel daven that way sometimes, is that they say the Shir Shel Yom before Aleinu. So he says, since they said a Kaddish, a mourner's Kaddish, what we call, after the Shir Shel Yom, do you have to say another one after Aleinu? And there's no need to say another Kaddish over Psukim in such a short period of time. And according to the Arizal, also there's no reason to. However, there are minyanim where we have the mourners, and that's why, again, where we call it the mourner's Kaddish, which is going to be our practice, as we see certainly here in America. And since we say Aleinu first, so we say Aleinu Kaddish and then Shir Shel Yom and a Kaddish, that they will say indeed two Kaddishes. Din tole b'she'elihim mutar laharbos bekadeshim. There's a whole question: are you allowed to have many? Can you increase many Kaddishes or not? A very, very long note here in the footnote number 10, as we discuss that the Gemara says that it's probably better to minimize the amount of brachos that one says. In other words, we don't make unnecessary brachos. So perhaps based on this, do we say that we don't have unnecessary Kaddishes as well? In America, we kind of embrace the Kaddish, and we say many. Well, like I mentioned the other day, though, on a Rosh Chodesh, for instance, when we say, again, American minhag, we say Aleinu, we say Shir Shel Yom, and then we say Barchi Nafshi for Rosh Chodesh. So the custom in our shul is we say Aleinu Kaddish, which we always say a Kaddish after Aleinu, because Aleinu is the first thing that warrants a Kaddish at all three tefillahs, and if the Kaddish is recited, even if there's not a mourner, as we have discussed. Then we have Shir Shel Yom, Kaddish, but on Rosh Chodesh we say Shir Shel Yom and then Barchi Nafshi, and that does not get its own Kaddish. We put both the Shir Shel Yom and Barchi Nafshi, almost like Barchi Nafshi is the Shir Shel Yom of Rosh Chodesh, and therefore only one Kaddish would be recited. Again, not to have Tirchad Tzibura, and not to have an increased number of Kaddeshim. The exception to that would be, again, I'm just not reading from the Sefer, I'm just explaining our practice. In a house of mourning and in a house of Avelis, when we have the special paragraph of Lam Natseach, or if it's a day that we don't say Tachnun, you would say Michtam LeDavid. There we do say a separate Kaddish, and the reason is that Kaddish I reserve only for those who are in Shiva. So even if you have other mourners present at a Shiva minyan, they wouldn't say that Kaddish. It's only those who are actually in Shiva. So these are different minhagim. I'm just sharing with you outside of the Sefer. Let's just finish this chapter quickly. Kasu haposkim shetzarach kol adam lishma b'chol yom shiva kadeshim. Poskim write that one has to hear at least 7 Kaddishes a day, Keneged Mashanemar, because the Pasuk in Tehillim says, in Kuf Yud Tes, verse 164, Sheva Bayom Hilalticha. I have praised God 7 times. According to the Arizal, you have to hear 12. Someone who comes to Shul regularly will definitely get it, but if you want to know what the 7 Kaddishes are, you have the one for Baruch Hu after Pesukei Zimra. You have one after Shemona Esrei, the half Kaddish after Tachnun, we'll call that. You have Kaddish Teskabel at the end of Uvo Etzion, that's 3. You have the mourner's Kaddish after Aleinu, that's 4, according to Nishmat Ashkenaz. You have a half Kaddish after Ashrei Mincha. You have a Kaddish Teskabel after the conclusion of Mincha, of Shemona Esrei. And then you have a half Kaddish at Marav before Shemona Esrei. And then you have the one that's at the end of Marav Aleinu is not really counting. But if you think about it, because we have one for Shir Shel Yom, and we have one after Mincha as well, mourner's Kaddish, etc., so it actually adds up. You'll probably hit the minhag of the Arizal in any event. Plus, we have in the beginning of Pesukei Zimra, according to American Nusach Ashkenaz, we have one Kaddish Drabanan after Karbanos, and we also have a mourner's Kaddish after Mizmor Shir Chanagas B'Ezel David. So lots of different customs here. You just have to know where you're davening, what the custom is, especially if you're one who is reciting Kaddish. And it's also, perhaps we'll get into this in a further chapter, but who says the Kaddish? There are some synagogues, you have to be mindful of this, that only one person recites the Kaddish, even if there are several mourners. It's very unusual, especially very jarring for a mourner who's not used to that. But again, we have to be mindful of this. So in the meantime, let's be mindful of having a peaceful and restful Shabbos ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Please continue davening for Chayalei Tzvah and Yisrael, for Shalom L'Chol Yisrael. Safety of our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael, Nishmat, Sarah, Daniel, Shimon, Arav, Dermon, Shel, Shem, Kudamo. Wishing you all great Shabbos. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you here next week.